Asherlo. It's a big rant.
And we're back again for another movie review. This is Sure It'll Be Grand with two Irish Egypts giving you their two Irish Egypt opinions. I'm not sure where I got this voice from, but here we are.
Is it your? Is Pascal Sheehy RTE News hosting this week? What's going on?
It does sound a little bit like that.
This is not the news episode.
No, it's not. I'm practicing for the news episode because that's
right.
the most important show we do now.
I hope
this stuff doesn't matter anymore, you know?
No, not at all. Especially
this is
not this week. Woo!
Hey, Owen loved the movie this week, and this week's movie was Short Circuit Does 2. It's not actually called Short Circuit Does 2. It's just Short Circuit 2, just to be clear. But yeah, Owen has a very confused face, which I imagine is very similar to everyone else's face. But yes, it's Short Circuit 2. An odd one. I think it's the first where we have reviewed a sequel when we haven't watched the first movie.
You have seen the first movie, I assume.
Yes, but not us as a podcast entity hasn't watched the first movie.
Nope, I have never seen Short Circuit 1. Never seen this one. I think prior to watching this, in my head for many years up until I guess this week when we watched this movie, I thought this robot thing from this one was also in Weird Science somehow.
I can see
think
that.
they were that's the same. That's one movie, but nope.
Yeah, it's like an 80s thing, you know. I mean, that was kind of an 80s thing in general. A lot of mascoty characters like E.T., Flight of the Navigator, and like even like Harry and the Hendersons. Like the 80s loved just taking some random thing and says, "Hey, look at this. This is our weird little friend here."
All bad.
You don't like E.T., do you?
I don't like E.T. at all.
Like, are you one of the people that's scared of IT or creeps you really badly out?
Yeah, man, he looks like a fucking... I don't want to say what he looks like, but he looks awful. He scared me when I was a kid. He's so creepy and weird. And if I was the kids in that movie and found him, I probably would have murdered him. I just would have beat him to death and left him in a ditch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure psychologists on Species would have a lot to say about that as a response. But you're not the first person to say that. I have a lot of friends who are terrified. I knew a girl once who like literally would have like almost a panic attack when she saw him in a video or something, which is, I don't know, it's strange. E.T. seems like a nice little dude that just wants to call home, and he wants to murder him on sight.
Creepy little dude.
I'm just saying
wants to probably kidnap children.
Look, I'm just saying, if aliens ever make contact with us, we have a lot of movies to explain to them and say, look, dude, we were in a bad place.
If they make contact and they look like E.T., they can go home. I will let them. They can leave. I don't want them to stay here.
Yeah, don't come down. No.
You know what? No. I'll call for you, E.T. I will make the phone call and send you home because you're not staying in my house. I'll tell you that much.
I'm looking forward to that moment in human history. Imagine. But yeah, so it's an 80s movie. And let's get into like who was involved. So director-wise was Kenneth Johnson. He's mostly known for The Bionic Woman, Curse of Dracula, Stop Susan Williams, and V. Do you remember the V series of the aliens that come to Earth that look humans? Both. He was involved in 1984 one and the 2009 one.
Oh, I remember. I haven't seen the original V. I remember the 2009 one releasing and it being like a big deal for, I'd say, a total of about 2 weeks, and then everybody stopped watching it.
Yeah, I remember people got really into it for those 2 weeks. It was like, I think it was around the time of Lost, so I think, oh my god, there's going to be one of those big things again. It's going to be massive. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
It's a shame because I like the premise a lot, but you know, here we are. writer-wise, it's S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock, who have worked together on one of your favorite movies, Wild Wild West.
Oh,
You love that movie, don't you?
Fucking let's go, baby.
Yeah. They also worked on Tremors. Do you want to ask me
Tremors?
about Tremor? Yeah.
What?
You can ask again which one.
Which Tremors?
Both of them, 1990 and 2003.
Oh, I thought you meant because there's isn't there 12 Tremor movies?
Yeah, but I think like a first movie in the series. I don't know.
You know the guy screaming, "What the hell is going on?" that we use every week in our podcast? That's from Tremors.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
It's Kevin Bacon in the original Tremors.
There we go. We must actually maybe watch that movie if we keep using that sound bit.
Sure.
Sometime, you know. I'm not even sure if I've watched it. I'd say I probably have. And then a movie called Batteries Not Included.
I know that.
Yeah, I do too. It scratched something in my mind, but I didn't dig too deep. The movie was shot in Toronto. Interesting fact. Where was the movie set?
This one. Short Circuit 2. Nobody fucking knows.
Okay.
That's an actual answer. I know this. I do know this.
Okay.
I did see this somewhere.
You actually did research. You had enough love for this movie.
No, I did. While we were watching, I was reading the trivia on it.
Because you wanted to look at something else for the movie.
Pretty much, yes. So I do know that the correct answer is nobody fucking knows.
Yeah, it's look. So obviously, while they're driving and they get into direction from the fridge, we get New York streets mentioned to us and locations. But Johnny Five also mentions a place in Toronto, saying, "Oh, he's coming off there," and one of the pamphlets is a city pamphlet. Yeah, St. Louis. Yeah. It's really, really weird. So I feel like there's a part of them that decided, this movie's going to be Toronto, and they went later on, actually, we need to do it in New York. It'll sell better. And maybe they just mashed them together, or maybe they just didn't think.
Think about it too much, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
They didn't think about a lot of continuity things, but from the first one to the second one either. But maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we will. The budget was about 15 million. Didn't make a lot of money back. Gross worldwide was about 21.5 million, which is not exactly fantastic. So we never got that sequel that was promised as well. There was a sequel, I think, in about 2008 or something, or 2002, where they were a little boy found Johnny Five and was they were going to make a story about a boy and a robot, which is kind of a ageless sort of story anyway. Cast wise, okay, so I suppose we have to get the big one out of the way. The character Ben Javeri was played by Fisher Stevens. To great surprise of both Owen and I, we found out that it was brownface. He was not of Indian descent or Indian in general. He self-described himself as a white Jewish kid from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And obviously, this is not cool. Interestingly, I suppose many people in India thought he was actually an Indian man, and actually a Bollywood actor called Javed Jaffrey, because they had the same beard and they had the same round glasses, and there was actually a lot of confusion until Javed Jaffrey went, "Yeah, no, that wasn't me." Yeah, I mean, look, obviously this is not acceptable. I think if it happened today, it wouldn't even make it to the screens. I suppose there have been a few things. Adam Sandler's movie there a few years ago had some racial stuff there going on. I think the only one I've known in recent times was Tropic Thunder, but that was taking the piss out of blackface.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's not cool. And they actually had a comedian, Aziz Ansari. Most people I know from Perks and Rec.
Or from the controversial other things.
Oh, go on.
Sexual harassment allegations.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and say what happened here. But he had a talk with Fisher Stevens, and as he mentioned, how he hated this character because obviously it was quite a buffoonery version of an Indian man, and it was brownface. It was disrespectful to people there. And, you know, obviously Fisher Stevens has since said, looking back, saying like he would never do such a thing again. And he has great regret over it. But I suppose the 80s were a bit strange. I mean, when I was researching this episode, there was a movie called The Toy, which was where a rich family went to like a toy store, a father and son, and the father said, "You can pick out anything you want," and the kid picked out the black janitor that made him laugh, which is, you know, that's a choice. And I suppose that's how the 80s did a lot of this kind of not great thing. And I know there's people out there who say, "Oh, culture, acting is acting. People can play wherever they want," but when you have actors out there of those ethnicities and races, get them in there. Let them perform and work. And also, don't take the piss on them because it was a caricature. Like, as much as people might like Ben Javeri, the character, it was like a nerdy stereotype of an Indian man.
Yeah, it was. And as much as he says he wouldn't do it again, he did it twice.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like they did the first movie, and I think their excuse, or the director or one of them, was that like they had cast, he wasn't supposed to be originally in the script. The character of Ben wasn't Indian, so they had cast Fisher Stevens, and then when they started filming, Fisher Stevens thought it was funny if he was Indian, and they just went with it and were like, "Well, it's too late to cast somebody else now." Not an excuse either. There's no excuse really.
Yeah.
It's just not acceptable. It shouldn't have been done then, and it shouldn't ever be done.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But yeah, look, we said we'll obviously talk about it because it's one of those elephants in the room that you don't want to ignore. Other actors in this, Michael Mckean, who played Fred Ritter. This is Spinal Tap, Mighty Wind, Clue, and Better Call Saul. And I researched this for you. He played Perry White in Smallville.
I really thought you were going to say something about Star Trek.
No. I saw Smallville popping up. I have to mention this.
What? He's doing Star Trek already? Oh, he was Perry in. Wait, which character in this movie is this?
It's the guy who was selling the watches at the beginning.
The salesman guy.
Buys them.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's cool. I like Smallville.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
Then we have Tim Blaney, who voiced Johnny Five. He has also voiced Frank the Pug, various Muppet projects, and just because it's a game we talked about just the other day, The Elder Scrolls. He voices the male Argonians and a character called Usha in the Dragonborn DLC. There's some interesting stuff. He wasn't originally meant to voice Johnny Five. He was meant to. He was a puppeteer who was voicing the lines, so it's easier for people to react to. But over time, like the cast just couldn't think of Johnny Five sound like anyone else, so they never dubbed it over and just kept his voice, which I kind of like, you know. Then we have Cynthia Gibb, who played Sandy, the woman at the toy shop or toy company or whatever she was doing. There were a lot of offices for this toy shop. And she was in Fame, Salvador, Gypsy, and Death Warrant. And then, I suppose, a villain of the piece in some ways, Jack Weston, who played Oscar, the crooked banker, who did Dirty Dancing, Wait Until Dark, Cactus Flower, and The Ritz, and this was his last movie before he retired.
Oh,
so there you go.
What a high note to end on, huh, pal?
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Do you think that was a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen sort of situation?
Probably, yeah. I think
he didn't
maybe
really do much, to be fair, in it. But yeah, that's it. Shall we get into talking about the movie?
I mean, what the hell is going on?
Right. Johnny Five basically comes to New York or Toronto or wherever city-like place. So Fisher Stevens is in the big city as Ben Javeri, and he's selling little, toy versions of Johnny Five. He's an engineer who helped Johnny Five escape before in the previous movie, and he's just trying to make it big. And he's in the city for the last 2 days. And he meets this girl from a shop that says, hey, if you can send me 1,000 of these, I can give you a check for 50 grand. And this basically is con man fella who is next to him says, yeah, I can sort it out. We can build this thing up. And, he finds a factory that's meant to be destroyed in the next month. And, they get homeless people to work there, and all this kind of stuff is happening. And eventually he realizes, look, we can't do this by ourselves. And he calls for his friend Johnny Five to be sent to New York, or he asks his friends to help, and they sent Johnny Five. And this is Johnny Five in the city. They try to keep it secret from him that he's in the city, because Johnny Five loves input. He loves reading stuff. He loves seeing stuff. That's his favorite thing to do. And you know what? He had 500 megabyte upgrade on his memory in this movie. He mentions that, which is, again, I always love looking back at technology, what we have now. And there's this sentient robot who has 500 megabytes. And it's yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Do you like that kind of trope? Or I suppose it's not a trope, it's a retroactive trope.
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny when it pops up in an older movie and they're like, this 3 megabyte floppy disk contains all the nuclear codes of the whole world or something. You're like, wow, that's insane. It's a floppy disk.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole generation of people who have actually never seen a floppy disk except as a save icon at this stage.
Yeah, and now it's not even that anymore.
Have they changed it?
The save? There's no save icon anymore. It's just, you just, on Microsoft Office and stuff, you just click, it's file save. There's no, save thing, as far as I know.
Oh, RIP, I suppose. RIP, save icon.
Control S that, baby.
Yeah. At the same... Okay, so as Johnny Five is in New York, Toronto, we see a guy show up once, and it's just this super rich dude with a suitcase who wants to store his diamonds. We then find out that Oscar works at the bank. I'm not sure who he is at the bank. I guess he's the second rung down, because the guy who's in charge of the bank is really shit towards him.
This is Oscar's the old guy that he meets on the street.
Yeah,
I don't know what his story is. I don't know who he is or what's happening at all. I don't know, because he seems like a nice guy, but then he isn't, and I don't know.
No, then he isn't, because he's paid a couple of people to basically dig through underneath the road and dig into the bank and steal the diamonds. That's pretty much it. And I looked into this movie, I researched it, I watched it, and I realize now as I'm talking, there isn't much plot beyond this. Most of the plot is Johnny Five kind of breaking out of the little factory they have, getting lost in the streets. First time he comes back, he's covered in graffiti after helping out a gang steal a whole bunch of street car stereos. And we kind of learned that, oh yeah, Johnny Five is naive and he doesn't know who's good and who's bad, which is still a bit weird, because I mean, he started his life running from a company that was all about military stuff. You know, like he knows there's bad people. I don't know why.
I assume you're referencing the first movie.
Yeah, I referenced like because he was so Johnny Five was made by like this company that basically sold technology to the army, and Johnny Five was a whole set of I think they're called saints or angels, and they're just all these robots who are super intelligent, but they all only listen to the commands. And Johnny Five gets electrocuted by like lightning or something, and he becomes sentient. He becomes self-thinking and all that kind of stuff with 500 megabytes. Fuck yeah!
No. He didn't have 500 megabytes back then.
Oh no!
It must have been a
megabyte
upgrade. There was DLC for Johnny Five, all right?
Yeah.
They patched him.
Yeah. And like if you like in the original movie, he had lasers and everything in this thing, but he's like, no, I don't like killing, and I don't want that. So in this movie, he has like a grappling hook, which is an interesting choice to attach to yourself, and a paraglider.
He has a what?
Like he has a paraglider.
He does?
Do you not remember that? Okay, you missed a few scenes. Right. At one stage, what's his face? Fred Ritter, the con man dude, brings him to, I believe, the bank or the toy company, and he's trying to sell Johnny Five to them.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. He's in the skyscraper, and like Johnny goes like, "What?" Well, not what the fuck, but he was like, "What are you doing? You can't do this. I'm Johnny Five. You can't stop." And he reverses out and crashes up the skyscraper, and he gets his paraglider out.
No, I don't remember that bit at all.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that happens. Yeah. Also, I suppose Johnny has a new upgrade as well. His remote control, which is the thing he has in his head, which lets him tap apparently into a lot of things that I didn't know were remote controlled.
Do whatever the fuck he wants, basically.
Yeah. I guess.
The fuck Johnny Five was just controls technology. Whatever, man. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was at that stage where you stopped asking, like, wait, how is that possible? I love that scene where he's like, I don't love the scene because it's very emotional, but it's when he's beaten down in the street and he remote controls for airplanes, like the toy airplanes he's seen in the park like a little while ago. And he controls them all the way to attack the people who are attacking him. And there's just a part of me, like, after everything I've seen in that movie so far, about, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Like, how would he be able to guide the airplanes?
No. You didn't say it that succinctly. What you said, what you exclaimed in the moment was, he doesn't know how they're going where.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I did say that. Thank you.
How they planes go where? Johnny don't know.
I think I was tired. I think I was, because here's a fun fact. I watched this movie originally in German. I think I've watched it mostly only in German. I think this might have been the first or second time I've watched it in English. So maybe I was just regressing into like, oh, I have no English left.
Yeah. I don't know. Like the little remote control thing that he has and all the new gadgets and whatever. It's kind of just, this is what I mentioned earlier. They didn't really bother too much with like following things on from the first one. They weren't paying too much attention to be like any sort of character detail or anything. They were just like, these guys are back. There's a whole lot of weird subplots happening with Ben, the main guy in it, that don't really make sense from what I've read about him in the first movie.
Go on.
Well, there's a subplot in this, and it like culminates at the end with them like Johnny gets it too, where Ben is like wants American citizenship or whatever.
Yeah.
But apparently in the first movie, Ben says that all his family are from California and his parents were originally from Philadelphia. And also he works for a US military government thing, which he couldn't really do if he wasn't like, he's a high-powered, he is an American citizen in the first movie.
Well, hold on, he could be lying about it to work there.
To work for the, yeah, sure, but he's still...
But he's not working for I don't think he's working actually for the American government. He's working for a company that sells stuff to the American military.
Okay, but like he still does say his family are from California.
That's what I mean. Maybe he's lying because he's trying to, illegal aliens, for example.
Yeah, also, maybe, but also his last name is different in the first movie.
Okay, that is a bit strange, yeah.
So they just
again, maybe he was using he's using his real name because now he wants to get American citizenship legitimately, whereas before he lied about it. No, it's not that. They didn't think.
No, they just weren't thinking about it, were they?
Yeah. I there was some weird things with Johnny. When he's in the bookshop and like he's reading all the books and police are coming to chase him because there's a fucking crazy robot all over the city. And like the guys with him say, "Look, Johnny, they want to take your books. We gotta go." And he goes, "Oh no, it's dangerous." And then like 20 minutes later, cops approach him again, and he knows what cops are. He has no problem with cops.
Yeah, he speaks to them exclusively, almost in like cop references.
Yeah,
like
which is another thing Johnny does in this.
Yeah,
yeah.
So he knows what police are.
Yeah, Johnny referenced everything. He didn't. He's movie quotes and all this kind of stuff.
But he didn't know what. But now he does know what they are. But
yeah.
He didn't before. But now he does.
Yeah.
But then he didn't. But now he does.
Yeah. And he gets arrested.
He does.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. This movie has like a whole bunch of like little strange nods, like the church scene where it's like because the whole talk is like, is Johnny alive? Does he have a soul? Or is he just a computer glitch? And Johnny suffers with this a lot because he wants to be with people. He wants to be a person. He wants to be alive out there. But he knows people judge him by his looks. No matter how much he's trying to integrate himself in society by using cultural sort of sentences and quotes, he's not seen as such. So he goes to the church and, he goes to the priest and asks, do I have a soul? And the priest can't see him. It's that same gag where the priest talks to someone who's clearly not a parishioner and, the priest scares him out. And then apparently there's some trouble with the church and that shows up in the newspaper later on. What was it? More women control in the church.
Catholic women vie for more power or something.
Yeah. Which is, and then we kind of also get Johnny, I guess, sacrificing himself to save the day. Like there's some weird sort of, and he rose again from the dead, and now he's like shining golden god figure by the end of the movie.
Jesus was a robot.
I mean, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly what I meant.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
See, the Bible's actually a parable of Johnny 5, not the other way around.
Yeah, sure, I can see it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Okay, cool. I suppose we could talk about some of the references. When Johnny kind of gets battered up and he's being put back together in Radio Shack, which, by the way, really old place. Like, we looked into it. It's like 100 years old.
This year is the 100th anniversary of Radio Shack, which is roughly when Radio Shack still exists, by the way.
Yeah.
But founded in 1921.
Yeah, roughly when AM and FM radio became the norm and people started getting radios. Like,
they were straight in on the ground floor.
It's a weird one.
They were just like, oh, this fucking radio thing, this is happening. I'm putting everything every penny I have. Some man, probably, I wonder was his name Mr. Shack or Shackleton or something. He just went Radio Shack. Or radio, it's actually cool and fancy and popular. You know what isn't cool or fancy or popular? Shacks.
Yeah, it's actually the guy we see in the movie who owns the Radio Shack. It's actually the original man from 100 years ago. He just never ages.
Mr. Shack.
He can't.
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Shack.
That's his name, Mr. Shack. Shaquille.
Yeah. Yeah, Shaquille. And just another fucking thing of, blackface in this movie. There you go.
Shaquille O'Neal is Mr. Radio
Shaquille
Shack.
O'Neal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Anyway, let's not go down that alley, which was, by the way, in an alley, just to segue into that. Which, by the way, Johnny 5 was a segue at one stage, and I was very happy with my pun when we said we segued into that scene. And I just want people to know I was very, very proud of myself. Owen can attest to this.
It was a big thing for you. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But thank you. He's actually been very genuine here. But anyway, in Radio Shack, he's been put back together with the help from Fred, and there's a few references here. He gets a mohawk, which is a reference to Taxi Driver from 1987, or I guess the Joker movie if you're into that kind of thing.
I'm not into that kind of thing at all. No, it's a Taxi Driver reference. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so that is a Taxi Driver reference as well, but it's also a Commando reference with Oscar says at one stage, "All right, let's party," which is a nod to the gear up scene in Commando, where Arnie kind of like gears up and gets ready to do battle with the enemy, and he says, "Come on, Bennett, let's party." So it's a little bit like there's a lot of movie references. Obviously, like when Johnny gets damaged, only one of his eyes is still intact. Let's be fair, whatever you want to say about this movie, the expressions on Johnny 5 were really well done. The puppetry.
Sure, I can't fault the numerous multiple people who operated the Johnny 5 robots. Puppets.
Do you want to know something interesting?
Whatever they were.
So
I can't fault them.
I couldn't find how many heads they had in this movie, but in the original movie they had 5 different heads for Johnny to use for different expressions in it, which is like it's cool because we were talking about like the prop itself, like they probably had 1 or 2 full props, some semi props, and then props that can kind of just throw around the place. I think that's relatively how they did that, probably.
Yeah, I'd imagine they spent most of their money on the Johnny 5 props.
But you know, we can say what we want. If this movie came out today, it would have been done mostly CG.
It would have? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it would have been better CG, or do you think...
If it was done like right now this year?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
You think so?
I don't know.
You think...
if they updated his design.
I don't know. I kind of like it because it looked like technology at the time to build something like this.
I don't know, man. He's pretty fucking ugly. Yeah. Is he uglier than E.T. though? I don't know. If that's
absolutely not.
Probably not. But he doesn't look good.
No. I was thinking, you know the LED mouth he has, where the light just comes out. Do you think that's from Knight Rider?
Is that
the idea
like,
for that?
Oh, the idea? That's the specific.
Yeah.
They
he's made of Knight Rider bits. Yes.
They reused the front of his Kit's.
Yeah.
His Kit
Kit.
car.
Yeah.
They just took his front off and reused it for Johnny 5. Is it referencing Knight Rider? Yeah. I don't know when Knight Rider aired, to be honest. I have no idea.
I imagine it could probably been because LED started coming in popular with showing like music. You know about sound design. The wavy things with the LEDs that go up and down, you know those?
What, waveforms?
There we go. That sounds like a thing.
You mean like on like a stereo system from the 80s?
The old ones where it shoots up like yeah. So it's probably from that, maybe. That's probably the core idea from the first place.
Yeah, it could have been. You know? Knight Rider began airing on TV in 1982.
So yeah, I mean that's probably likely then. Yeah. Look, by the end of the movie, Johnny 5 is turned into this Mad Max robot. He stops Oscar after Oscar tricked him in stealing the diamonds. There's a boat scene. It's the 80s, and we got a boat scene.
It's the late 80s, baby. We gotta have a boat chase to end our movie. Let's fucking go.
That's the question, actually. If anyone knows, why were boat scenes so popular in the 80s? Was it like, were they becoming affordable? Were they becoming a thing? Like, what's the deal?
I honestly really want to think the 80s was when, like, the average man could finally own a speedboat.
Yeah.
Like, a proper... speedboats were, like, super popular. People, like, had this fascination with, like, what's your dream? Oh, I want to own a speedboat. I'm going to buy a speedboat. Just... That's my thing now. I have a speedboat. I don't know. Well, but I guess also they were, as action set pieces go, they were probably relatively cheap to film in terms of how cool you could make it look at times. Like you could
Flames.
you could blow them up, and you can flip a boat and do all these kind of crazy stunts with it, and you're on water in a fucking river or in the ocean. You don't have to close off streets or like shut down a part of the city or anything. You're just out in the
Also
water.
props. You can literally make a scale off the boat and do whatever the fuck you want with it as well. Like,
yeah, you can.
you know, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, Johnny saves the day. Then I think we skip ahead a few weeks, and now Johnny is gold plated. I guess the bank paid for that. Like someone paid for that.
I guess maybe Ben, because Ben and your man are rich at the end of the movie, because they set up a company that exclusively makes Johnny 5 toys.
Here's the thing, though. Like, surely, like, I know that like, the military company that made them in the first place was shut down by the end, but like, I feel like they still have like copyright to the look of them. Like,
I feel like Johnny 5 is still U.S. government property.
He probably is,
I
but
think
he's not, because he's now a proper citizen of the United States of America.
But they just put him in prison, and he's no longer has any rights.
Which is allowed as slavery under the Constitution.
Yeah.
Correct.
There you go.
Yes.
You're back where you belong, Johnny.
But yeah, he becomes a citizen along with his pal, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. We'll go on to the next section. Now, Owen, I know you've loved this movie, and this task now to choose your favorite, like your Jesus moment, just a shocking moment to you. Like, what is it for you?
I can't remember the movie.
You can't remember the movie all, can you?
Most of it. Look, I'll be honest. All right, I'll be completely honest. I have no idea. My Jesus moment, it's honestly because it's 10 minutes into the movie, just as it was starting, and I was just beginning to think, all right, you know, maybe I'll enjoy this, maybe I won't. Let's see where it goes. Dan dropped the nugget about the casting thing that we discussed up top on me, and I kind of stopped paying attention. I just was like, well, I don't want to watch this now. I couldn't stop thinking about it until like the last 20 minutes or so of the movie. I finally got it out of my head and just went, okay, no, I can't. I'm actually watching this now. So I guess it's that. I just couldn't watch it. I was just like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is very much a Jesus moment.
It was all I could think about for the whole movie, for most of the film, was how I was like, I'm not okay with this. I don't really want to watch this now.
Yeah.
So
I think like just to talk on that point, I kind of had a similar moment, but like you have to understand, for me, like I've watched this movie so many times growing up, and I never realized. And I'm here. Listen to me, folks. I am not saying, hey, the brownface was really good. I'm not saying that, but it was definitely like a reality shift for me. I went, Jesus, all right, okay, that's kind of fucked, and it is. It's completely fucked. Yeah. For my Jesus moment, I think it's really when like he's beaten in the streets, like he's bleeding. Like there's that one stage where he gets hit with a crowbar, and the splash of the battery acid, which happens to be red, splashes on the guy's shirt. Like, and they have like this really like sad operatic music over it. It's just like throughout the most of the movie, it's just like Johnny going beep, 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 and going around the city, and like he meets gangs and they kind of spray paint him, but like he's having a good time and he's having like nice friends. But then he's just like his eye socket is broken. He's holding himself up. He has to rebuild himself. He knows he's dying. Like, and he goes on like a last moment vengeful quest to stop the person who's basically killed him. Like this is a kid's movie. And they just went, yeah, fuck it, we'll go this way.
Yeah. He didn't die, though.
Very close, though. He had to be defibrillated.
It's sad that he didn't die. I'd agree with you on that point.
I don't know why you hate Johnny that much. I really
annoying
don't.
and he's ugly and
He's a mascot character. He's
no,
not
look, I
ugly.
get it. All right, okay. I suppose it's like fucking when they killed Optimus Prime in the Transformers movie for people who liked Optimus Prime. All right. I don't know. I've not.
Look, Ash Ketchum's probably the closest one we had to a movie.
If they'd killed Ash Ketchum in the Pokemon movie, that first one.
Jesus, man.
They did turn him to stone briefly for a quick second.
Yeah, he did die, but he got brought back, I guess.
Went to Pokemon heaven.
Imagine they actually did that, though. Imagine they went like, yeah, we're going to kill him off in this movie. And then continue the anime with someone else.
Just Brock.
Yeah, just Brock, who's a much better character, to be fair.
He just adds drinking to his lewdness. Ludidity?
Lewdness.
What?
Pervertishness.
He's a fucking pervert, yeah. Let's just say it straight out, okay? Much like E.T.
E.T.'s not a pervert.
He's a fucking pervert, man. Look at him. He wears a trench coat. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Look, let's go on to our last section here.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
I don't think there'll be much of a shock when I ask Owen. Owen, what did you think of the movie?
I mean, look, I'll give you my honest answer is I don't know. I didn't really watch it. I'm not on board with watching it. Really, I just couldn't get over the casting thing. It just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea if things had been different and it was without that and it was just a movie. Maybe I would have liked parts of it, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get past it, and I will never watch the first one.
Which is the movie we're watching next week. No. And I'll just make it clear, like, I was not aware that this was a part of the casting. Like, Owen and I discovered this at the same moment. I literally Googled and went, because I Googled it, I wonder what he's up to these days. And I checked and went, wait a second. That's not cool. Reviewing it as a movie I watched as a kid, I'll be honest, there's no real plot. And the plot that's there is paper thin. It's mostly about seeing Johnny. And I'll be real, Johnny's definitely a character for kids. He is not a character for an adult to get invested in until they become extremely dark and action-based for some reason. I didn't enjoy it this time around. Okay,
look, I'll put the other shit aside for a second, right? As a movie, from the bits of where I was paying attention, there's too much plot. There's too many weird little things happening. There's too much of, like, just from 1 second it's Johnny 5 and he's just having some shenanigans, and then suddenly you're there. Wait, hang on, there's people stealing some diamonds. Oh no, wait, hang on, they're building robots. Oh no, hang on, we're in the toy store from that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's trying to steal the little toy for his kid at Christmas. Oh no, hang on, we're in a library. There was just all this weird fucking jingly crap going on, and I don't know. I don't think even if it was just like, it's just like
yeah. I honestly think it was more of a way to showcase Johnny. Like, the entire movie, everything in it was just say, hey, look, this is Johnny. Isn't he funny when he does weird stuff? Because like you mentioned these things as plots, but they're barely plot.
No, they're all subplots.
Yeah, but they're not.
They don't
have any depth whatsoever.
There's not. That's what I mean. There's not really a proper, like, one continuous. They're kind of, it's the toy thing, but also it's not. Because all of them are like, okay, this is the plot, but it's only important for the next 10 minutes, and then we're going to go back to the other thing, and then we're going to move on, and now Johnny has a mohawk. Woohoo! And it's just like, was there Johnny 5 toys? Like the ones in the movies? That, like,
I that was before my time, to be honest. I can't tell you.
If they, like, zipped around like the ones in the movies. If they didn't, then that's incredibly flawed business practice.
All I'd say is I understand why I liked it as a kid, but I also understand why this movie didn't get the best numbers. and didn't get the best reviews. It's a movie that well and truly is aged in the most ugliest ways. I think it's fair to say.
You know the only scene that hasn't aged
Go on.
is when they play Holding Out for a Hero over the end bit. You know why it hasn't aged? Because the song hasn't aged, and the song was the only good thing about that. The song, you could put that song over anything, and it will trick your brain into thinking, "This is good. I like. This is exciting. I like this."
You know, actually, one of the evaluations of this movie that we haven't even mentioned is the romantic plot. And I don't think we should bother, really, because it was
not worth.
Was barely there.
It's not a thing.
Johnny 5 helps him flirt with digital displays, and sometimes there's balloons in the way. And
they do. They try to do a Cyrano thing with Johnny. For some reason, Ben turns to a robot who knows nothing about anything to help him woo a human woman. Well, anyway, that's a whole other episode.
I mean, it works at first. It's just when everything gets in the way, But that's our movie for today. Look, it's tainted, to be honest now. So out of any opinion I'd have on the movie has kind of been broken. I like Johnny 5 himself as a concept, as a prop put together, but everything else is kind of not worth it.
I half agree.
Okay, you agree. Yeah, I know which half you agree, but anyway. But what movie are you watching next week?
Oh God, I sure hope a movie that doesn't have any weird casting choices in it. We're watching a movie that has been a blind spot for me for a long time because I have never seen it, and I always felt like I should have because it's quite popular not like super big important movie or anything, but it's quite popular, and we're watching The Devil Wears Prada.
A chick flick, isn't it? Is it considered a chick flick?
It's probably considered a chick flick. Yeah, it's about fashion and stuff, right?
Which is not really only for chicks. I'm doing quotation marks here. But that's what we'll watch next week, and we'll review. Folks, any opinions on Short Circuit 2 or Devil Wears Prada? Let us know. Like and subscribe on any platform you're listening to us on. Share us. That'd be really great. We'd love to grow a bit more, have more of an audience. And that's it from me, Daniel.
And also me,
Owen.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's my name.
Yes.
Asherlo.